I'm back today with another retrospective, and this one is going to be good. It's about one of my favorite TV shows of all time. You know, a lot of people's favorite adult cartoons are either The Simpsons or Futurama, Family Guy, and whatnot. But for me, it's got to be Daria. I love Daria. I liked it since I was maybe 13 when it ran on the N when I was a little kid. You know. So, yeah, I'm going to do a retrospective about Daria and how revolutionary the show actually is and still is today. I would love to see the show come back. I mean, I am a big fan. I do trust the writers. Daria had a lot of good talent put into it. Voice acting, talent, writing. There was rarely a bad episode. There was maybe only like 3 episodes of the whole show that I just don't care for. And I think the 3 are the musical episode, the holiday episode, which is just kind of, it feels like an acid trip, and I guess that's what it is. I don't know. It's a really dumb episode and one of my least favorites. And finally, the episode that's in the final season about Nathan, the guy with the zoot suits, how stupid that actually is. So, yeah. I'm actually a huge Daria fan, if you can't tell. This case, I actually had Mark Thompson, you can barely see it, sign it, and he does the voice of Kevin, Mr. DiMartino, the Chad, and in the first season, he also did the voice of Upchuck, and also Timothy O'Neill. Yeah, he is easily one of my favorite characters, and Mr. DiMartino is my favorite out of the entire run of his voices. So I'm going with more on that one. Mark Thompson was a legend. So when I added him on Twitter, and I'm like, dude, would you please sign this? And he's like, okay, I don't get much Daria requests, but sure, why not? And then I sent him a coffee mug with most of his characters. He actually does some anime voice acting too, which is just great. But now I'm getting completely off track. Let's get things started, and let's start talking about my season retrospective of Daria. Let's hit it.
You'd never catch me in a job like that.
Because it falls under the category of employment.
Season 1 of Daria is easily the show when it's trying to become something. It's trying to get its groundwork laid in. It does make a few references to Beavis and Butthead in the first episode. They only mention Highland once through the entire episode, and Daria makes a comment about, say, well, there's no uranium in the drinking water around here, kind of hitting the fact of Beavis and Butthead, you know, looking funny or whatever. I have no idea. And yeah, it kind of goes first off on what this show is going to be. The season is a little strange. It's basically Daria trying to basically become more adaptable in a new high school, her friendship with Jane, and basically the stories that fold out through here. This is kind of the sloppiest season, but it's not the worst. No. This is easily one of the best seasons. In fact, before the voice actors could find their footing for the show, you notice a few different things. Brittany actually talks in a lesser, higher-pitched voice, Brittany the cheerleader. Kevin doesn't seem as dumb in this, which kind of works out if you know who Kevin is. Daria is still Daria from Beavis and Butthead at this point, but she is grasping her own personality and characteristics as the show goes. So, yeah, she's doing great so far. It still has a lot of settings, and here's some more fun facts. Upchuck is actually in a few episodes too, and for some strange reason, he's voiced by Mark Thompson when he gets replaced throughout Season 2. But Season 1 might actually have a few of my favorite episodes. There's Mauled, which is probably one of the very first episodes I ever saw of the show, where the class takes a trip to the mall. Now, I am aware that in the home release version of Daria, the music is all changed, sadly. So I actually had a friend send me the restoration project on Blu-ray. Super nice person to do that for me, so I could actually do the reviews of this. Daria's music is where the show really starts out strong. It uses a bunch of licensed audio tracks. I mean, at the very beginning, we are hit with an audio licensed track, and it's a basically rock song. Unfortunately, if you're watching it on Paramount Plus or on the DVD home releases, yeah, the music is completely gone. The only thing we have is La 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 La, which You're Standing on My Neck is basically all we have left for the entire season. Well, it's all filled with generic stuff that isn't as fun. You get a good setting on characters in this. I mean, this is season 1. We are established that Jane is a painter and an artiste, and we're established that Daria is snarky, and Upchuck is a douchebag. I do like some of the episodes, like Road Warriors, which is just amazingly well done. One of my favorites, Mauled, is a freaking fantastic episode. I don't know, I think Mauled might be my favorite episode out of this season. Maybe, maybe not. You do get another deal with Quinn, too. Quinn is Daria's younger sister, who is really... She comes off snobby and as the antagonist of the series, sort of. There is no main bad person in the show. Well, there's some douchebag characters, but they're not really bad or malicious, say, like Roger Klotz from Doug, or, the bullies. They just kind of treat Daria as is, and sometimes they even look on her in a favorable way. I think one of the better episodes is the season 1 ending episode, which is easily a favorite of mine, is where Tommy Sherman comes to town, who I think is based on Owen Wilson, by the way, and Daria and Jane kind of make a few cracks about him after he says Daria is the misery chick, and always whining and etc. And then she just kind of makes an off-color joke that says, well, be careful what you wish for if he dies or whatever. And then he gets killed by his own statue, which is just, well, not statue, but goalpost, which is just completely ironic. But still, it's a really well tied together episode, and it kind of does actually develop Daria a lot more than any of the other episodes did previously. Daria is definitely a very pessimistic person, or mainly a realist, but people see her as being on to the dark side, and I do like that Tommy Sherman is a douchebag, and they treat his death as a very big tragedy, like the principal and Mr. O'Neill and etc. But then there are people like Kevin and Brittany who knew that Tommy was a complete piece of shit. Because, well, he insulted Kevin's, size, height, or whatever, his muscle width. And then he insulted, or not insulted Brittany, but basically hit on her, who she's probably 16 at this point, and he's in his 20s. Kind of fucked up. But, however, that's not, it's just the best closer season episode. It is a really good tied-up season. The voices do kind of start changing as the show goes. Brittany finally gets her niche with her high-pitched voice, and unfortunately we don't get Sarah Drew in the mix until season 2 to play Stacy. Also, I'm talking about the characters in this season, but there aren't really that many revolutionary characters. I mean, Daria is definitely restrained from her parents, but she does love them in a very strong sort of way, which does fit really well for the characteristics of the show. And then her rivalry with Quinn is easily one of the best sibling rivalries I have seen on TV. I mean, it is basically, Frasier Niles kind of rivalries, or, stuff like that. It's just really interesting to watch. I think that the sister dynamic is done best in Daria, honestly, especially in these earlier seasons, how the two pick on each other, but then they stick up for each other. I like that. Quinn does get her own set of a story, too. She is basically hanging out with people that are complete and utter douchebags, except for Stacy. I like Stacy out of the Fashion Club the best. I don't know why. I think she's just really sweet and cute, and she's just funny as hell. She has the best lines. I really enjoy her character in this. But then there's Sandy, whose voice just grates on my ears, and I know it's on purpose, but I just hate I swear, I thought a man was doing her voice trying to sound feminine. But no, it's a woman trying to sound masculine. That voice that she has just kind of grates to me with Sandy. That, well, Quinn. Luckily, there's not a lot of Sandy in season 1. And then there's Tiffany. Dear God, I like Tiffany, but then she annoys me, especially in the earlier, or in the later seasons, but she's not in this season so bad. In this season, she talks normal, but wait till about season 2 when we start to explain how different the characters are played. Of course, then there are the teacher staff that I really like a lot. Like, Mr. O'Neill is just funny as hell. I love his sensitivity, but then we have other teachers, like the man-hating teacher, of course, and then we have Mr. DiMartino, who basically hates everyone. Now, there's a theory that he is a closeted gay teacher, and I kind of do go with that theory because, well, he is very temperamental, and he did live at a time where being homosexual was completely looked down upon, so he did have to closet it. I mean, he wasn't with any actual women, but then again, in season 2, he is buying porn. So, I really don't know. Mr. DiMartino is one of the more interesting and funnest characters. We don't get enough of DiMartino. And yes, I will be talking about him a lot. I love his characteristics, especially his personality clash with Kevin. Oh my god, when he's trying to teach Kevin and Brittany, I mean, you could just see the pain in the poor dude's eyes, or his eye, anyway, when he's trying to teach Kevin. Now, Kevin, can you answer this? Anyway, season 1 has a really good selection of episodes, and it's probably one that I go back to quite a bit. So, on a whole, what would I rate season 1? I would probably give it a 8 out of 10. It is really good, and it's a strong, fresh start. But, like with Daria, the seasons just get better and better as they continue on. So let's go to season 2.
Come on, Left Side. Don't be shy.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill, for your tireless dedication in reminding the students how out of touch we are.
Okay, season 2 was definitely a better development for character-wise anyway, especially for Daria. There are a lot of fun, memorable episodes. Well, my favorite being the freaking Daria Hunter. This one is definitely an homage to movies like The Deer Hunter, and basically, I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but it's a great war movie with Marlon Brando. The Horror. I can't remember the name of it, though. I apologize. I don't use a script, guys, so you're just going to have to excuse me. But it's an homage to those, and I really love... This is actually in, like, my top 5 favorite Daria episodes of all time. The Daria Hunter is just incredible. But Season 2 has some really good ones, too. There's also Monster, where we get more character development out of Quinn Morgendorffer, which is great, where they follow her around with a camera, and they record her and see what kind of a bitch that she is. I really, really dig this one, too. We get more Daria getting her feelings explored for Trent in this. There are many, many good scenes out of her and Trent. One of my favorite episodes being Ill. I know this one doesn't have very many good reviews, but Ill is easily a fun and enjoyable episode. I love seeing how Daria gets unbelievably embarrassed when she is around Trent, and this actually shows the pinnacle of her embarrassment for him. This is what I consider the Daria and Trent saga. Also, finally, this is where the show found its footing for the characters. Like, well, Brittany finally is stuck with her high-pitched, feely voice. Sarah Drew joins the cast to play Stacy, and if you know who Sarah Drew is, she plays April Hefner on Grey's Anatomy, and also she was in one of my favorite other TV shows called Cold Case. She plays a character named Jennifer Rose Scarlett, which is just fantastic flashback character. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Season 2, to me, might be the show's strongest season. There are many episodes that I come back and visit, but I think one of my favorite episodes being Right Where It Hurts. Now, this one I really like a lot because this one shows Daria's writing ability and how well she can write and do a story completely. There is also a good opening episode called, it's the episode where Daria and Jane try to submit a painting and the school tries to censor it. The principal and Mr. O'Neill try to censor it to make it look like, she's more accepting of herself. However, this is a big winning episode for Helen Morgendorffer, who might be one of my favorite TV moms on any adult cartoon or any cartoon in general. Helen is actually pretty damn awesome. I rank her up with Ginger's mom from As Told by Ginger, which, if you think about it now, Daria and As Told by Ginger are very similar shows. But yeah, this one is fantastic. I mean, I actually like seeing more of Daria's character development. One of my favorite episodes featuring Daria is The New Kid, where she kind of grows an attachment to the main kid, and he's a little different. He doesn't really eat sugar or processed cheese or anything like that. His parents are kind of control freaks. I really enjoy the characteristics going on in this episode, and the fact that Daria is slightly attracted to him. It's not out of pity or anything, she just likes how quirky he is. And he is a very interesting character. I wish we got more episodes with him because he turned out to be his own interesting and very well-developed character, and I wouldn't have minded him being the love interest for Daria for a while. But this season mainly focuses on a lot of Daria more this round, more so than it does Jane. And I really like that. It's completely different, and everything kind of flows a lot more naturally. We get more acquainted with Daria's parents in this season too. Jake and Helen are just fantastic, and there are just some fun episodes featuring them. Like, that was Then This Is Dumb, being one of my favorite episodes where Jake actually just says that he wants to grow the beard back, and then finally the hippie family that's staying with him are completely, utterly sick of living that lifestyle, so they kind of warp that family. There is just so much fun in this season, and I don't know if I would say it's my favorite season out of the group. Is it as impactful as season 1? Well, yeah, it's as impactful, but is it as great? Well, yeah. But season 1 and 2 aren't exactly my favorite seasons, but man, there is just a lot of fun episodes. Of course, we get Quinn and the Fashion Club, and like I said in the earlier season chunk here, this is where the cast actually finds their footing completely. This is where Tiffany's voice starts to become really grating as well, where she starts saying, "Oh, yeah," or, "Ugh." I think they do this on purpose because there are a lot of characters, or there are a lot of people who talk like this. I have no idea why they went with this change though, but I really enjoy it. Jane, however, and Daria are really great in this season together too, and we get a lot of Daria and Jane moments here that I really do deeply enjoy. But honestly, I think my favorite episode of this season is the season 2 closer, Right from the Heart. I mean, I really like how Daria is trying to imagine how everything is going and how it just kind of works out. And of course, we get to see her fondness with Trent. Now, I haven't touched much on Trent because he wasn't really gigantically focused on in the last season, but I do have a theory about Trent. He does know about Daria's feelings, but he doesn't want to act on them because he thinks it would be kind of awkward. Trent is actually a little smarter than a lot of people give him credit for, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. Trent may seem like a moron, but no, he's not, and I do think he's picked up on Daria's crush. There are quite a bit of Daria and Trent moments that I really enjoy in this show a lot, but season 2 seems to have some pretty decently strong moments. Anyhow, what would I rate Season 2? Well, I would probably rate it about the same as Season 1, an 8 out of 10. But like I said, each season gets better as the show goes on. So let's go to Season 3. Well, Season 3 does not start off strong like Seasons 1 and 2, but it has a strong middle and ending, so I'm going to let it pass. Season 3 starts off with the musical episode, and then later on in the section of these episodes, we get, unfortunately, the freaking holiday one. So that's 2 episodes I dislike in the same season. But the season is still good. We get more of Trent and Daria in this season again, which is fine with me, but we get a little more development with Quinn and Daria in some certain episodes that I really enjoy. There are episodes that I like seeing Quinn and Daria bond together. In fact, this one might actually be my favorite season, believe it or not. I can't believe I'm saying this either, but I really like this season. This does introduce Tom, though, and a lot of people seem to hate Tom. And I'm kind of in the minority of the group that just finds him okay. He's not that terrible, but I get why people don't like him. He is very bland, especially in the opening seasons, but this season is a little crazier. There is a lot of fun. In fact, one of my favorite episodes, at least top 5 episodes, yet again, another top 5, is in this season 2, Jake of Hearts, where Jake suffers a, well, quote-unquote, heart attack, but it was actually not an actual heart attack, and his mother comes back into town, and they start arguing about his dad, which is just fantastic. You see, we get little hints of Jake's past, that he's been to military school, he's been through hell and back with his abusive dad, and yeah, it's just great. I really love Jake in this season, and we get a little more lighting on Quinn too. I kind of like Quinn a lot in this season too. I mean, she kind of went from being the stuck-up bitch to being, well, really likable. Quinn is now one of my favorite characters of the entire show, and yeah, Season 3 is a lot of fun despite 2 blemishes on its record. But I would say Season 3 does have a stronger ending than Seasons 1 and 2. So, and you know how I feel about Season 1, especially the Tommy Sherman episode. I don't know, it just felt like the characters are growing and changing at this point. Daria being angry and jealous over Tom, over losing her friend, is just something that I find fascinating, because if you're a teen, especially a social outcast like I was, you kind of compare yourself to that when one of your friends gets a girlfriend or a boyfriend and kind of leaves you high and dry alone. It makes you feel empty. It makes you feel lost. And I kind of get Daria's aggression towards Tom. Tom is not very engaging of a character, but he's more of a plot device than he is a character. However, the show just has so much to offer. I really enjoy it. I mean, we get a little more interesting characteristics on Helen and Jake in this season 2, which, you know, I'm all for Helen and Jake episodes. Like I said, Helen is my favorite mom, but Jake can annoy me from time to time with his over-whiningness and over-avoiding stuff that happens. It's just really stupid. But I kind of enjoy it. We also get more Kevin and Brittany in this season 2, which is just fun. There's also an episode where basically they're trying to investigate Kevin's death, I guess. It's a fantasy episode, but it's one that actually works. This one is a pretty strong drive for me. I kind of really like this season. There are a lot of episodes I really remember of this one a lot. There's not a lot to say too much, though, but character-wise, this one does increase. If you notice, and if you watch the show, Daria changes throughout each season. A lot of people say she doesn't, but she really does. In season 1, she is basically very pessimistic, very shrewd, and very snarky and sarcastic. But she meets Jane kind of opens her up to the ideas of friendship. Season 2, she's more opening and accepting, and can even grow a conscience at times when making fun of her sister. And then, finally, Season 3, well, things just seem to get a little bit different. It's showing a more vulnerable side to Daria, how jealous she can get over Tom, and how angry she can feel over the entire situation going on. However, this one is a pretty darn good season. It's an interesting watch. Just skip those 2 episodes, I would recommend. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Anyhow, this season is incredible. And I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, the show just keeps getting better as it goes on. So let's go to season 4, shall we?
And find some nice rubber to gnaw on. You'll pay for this!
I'm a teacher! Try to collect!
Alright, well, to me, season 4, I think, might be the best season. There is not an episode on this season that I dislike. And what I like is just so much goodness out of here. In fact, I really enjoy this season because we get a lot of Quinn bonding with Daria and becoming closer as the show goes on, which is easily one of my favorite moments of the series itself. Also, we finally end Daria's crush on Trent in this season, which is fantastic. And that's why I chose to play this song in this one, because her feelings towards Trent finally end, and she starts opening up to her feelings on another person. Which, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. This season is strong. At first, it kind of shows the friendship building between Daria and Tom, and Daria becoming more accepting of Tom at the time. Tom, I'm gonna say it, is bland. He's like basically a rice patty with no calories. That's pretty much his personality. He doesn't talk like a teenager. He doesn't act like a teenager. And yeah, I see why a lot of people don't like him. I acknowledge him. Tom is the rich boy that everyone, his parents idolize him. He's a parent's wet dream, yada, 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 yada. He's the perfect kid. Goes to a wealthy school, but in a way, Tom can be a douche. And I'll get there when I get there. Anyhow, this is definitely the friendship struggling season, as I call it. Jane and Daria's friendship is really put on hold here, and you can't help but really feel the tension within each passing season. In fact, there's an episode where Daria meets Tom at the parade, and they kind of share a bond, and they become friends themselves, causing a rift to form in between the three of them. Jane and Tom are fighting even more, and it also gets to a certain episode called Die, 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 My Darling, which Jane tries to get her hair dyed a certain way to keep Tom's attention, and then, of course, Tom cheats on Jane with Daria. And it is just a fucked up situation all around. A lot of people seem to really hate this moment, and I can understand why. I'm one of the people that don't care for this moment either. I just never understood what the deal was with Tom, why these girls were going crazy of him. He's just a regular, average-looking, Ashton Kutcher-looking dude with zero personality. And yeah, I get it. He is a source of conflict. He's a plot device for Daria and Jane. But what does actually happen in this season is it shows that these two can still be friends no matter what happens. That is the kind of friendship you need in life. And Daria and Jane have such a strong bond that not even a guy could break it. A guy that they're fighting in competition over. There are so many fun episode favorites in here of mine. The mall episode yet again, or the new Mart episode, the superstore. Basically, it's a Walmart store, that they go to, which I call this episode the cheese log episode. I freaking love this one because of how much fun and enjoyability this one has. It's just great. I laugh so much. Mr. DiMartino is basically the shining star of this episode, and it might be my second favorite episode of the entire series. So, yeah, I'm going to say I love Season 4 a lot. We get some more character development out of this with Jane and Daria. We get a lot of interesting aspects. We even get to see a bridge of Kevin's family and etc. go on and on here. I love this episode, and we get more teacher character development too. Not just DiMartino, but Mr. O'Neill also gets a lot of loving and support in this. It's a fantastic season. In fact, I think it's a solid season. There isn't an episode out of this season that I don't skip. I think all the episodes are great. Quinn even becomes even more likable than she was in the last season, which I didn't even think that was a possibility, but man, it's good. I think my favorite episode out of this season, though, is Daria finally able to put her crush on Trent away. Because there's a dual meaning going between the conversations. Trent saying, well, I guess it wasn't a good idea for us to get together. And then finally, it was Daria letting go, of course, to go into Tom's arms. Now, I will say Tom and Daria have a lot in common and they like to hang out, and Jane had every right to be pissed off about the whole situation. But Jane, being like one of the coolest characters ever, lets it go. She's cool with it now. It's a good season, and it's a strong season. In fact, I'm gonna flat out say it. I think this is the best season of the entire show. There is so much conflict going on, but you can't help but watch every episode as it pans out. It's a slow burn until the final season, when Daria begins her relationship with Tom, and their friendship might be on the rocks. They leave it at a big cliffhanger. I'm going to give this season a 9 out of 10, because it is that damn good. I'm just saying, it is a very good season all around. But instead of going to season 5, I'm going to go to another portion. Is it fall yet?
Football players are winners.
I see. Obviously, your definition of a winner is a degenerate slacker with pigskin for brains, an unshakable desire to sleep through class, and...
Is It Fall Yet is basically a really long episode of Daria, movie-length episode, with not as high as a budget, but there is a high voice cast. There is a lot of fun in this thing, and just to spoil it all for you, this is my favorite Daria episode in general. Like, if I were to make a top 10 Daria list, this would be number 1. Is It Fall Yet is incredible. It holds your attention through the entire run of the episode. Mr. DiMartino is just amazing in it. I love that he becomes like one of those camp counselors, and Daria kind of forms a connection. Also, she's trying to keep in touch with Jane, but Jane wants nothing to do with her, and Jane's going through her own arc at the moment of being hit on by a chick at the party there, or at the school or the camp she's at, which is extremely weird, but I like it. It's basically, the whole movie is, to me, considered to be really, really well done. It definitely ties everything together before the final season of the show, and it's just excellent. I don't have any faults with this season either. There is a lot of fun voice cast in here too. David Gruhl, the singer of fucking Food Fighters, is in here. He plays the art instructor at Jane's camp. What I like is Daria's relationship that she has with one of the kids at the camp who is very similar to her. She tries to reach him, and he always tries to shun her or not want to talk to her. She understands and gets how he feels, but it's just not enough. And there are points in the movie where that they think that, well, he or she has tricked him, because she's working with Timothy O'Neill at the time. Yeah, I've got to say, I think that the highlight of this movie, though, is Mr. DiMartino's scenes. And their One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest reference of Mr. DiMartino throwing out the fucking fountain through the window or whatever, and the kids all escaping to go hiking. Just a lot of fun. DiMartino gets to shine here, and he's going through his own little personal crisis in this run. He's basically going through, why did I become a teacher when I can't teach anyone? Everyone here is stupid. And he's not wrong. Not only is Daria, DiMartino, Mr. O'Neill, and everyone else going through trouble, but so is Quinn. Quinn actually becomes a well-rounded character in this movie, and I really like her. She gets a crush on her tutor, and the fact that she didn't quit when her friends from the fashion club all quit his tutoring abilities, she stays on, and she wants to learn to better herself. She wants to be smarter. She wants to be better than them. And then she starts to develop feelings for him, too. She wants to go out with him, and he actually turns her down, and it breaks her heart. It's really interesting. And then by the end, it's just so good to see that Daria and Jane finally have a friendship together. A really strong friendship still. And with the song Freaking Friends playing in the background, it is amazing. All I gotta say is, I think Is It Fall Yet is probably the best Daria-related project that has been done. I remember watching this a lot when I was younger, and I really had it. I had it on VHS when I was a younger kid. I had it taped off the end, and I would watch it almost every summer. So I really have a strong bond to this film in general, and it is just so good. It's a good closer for season 4 and a great opener for season 5 at the same time. Daria finally accepts that she does like Tom, and they basically get together, and that's pretty much how it ends. And Jane is finally accepting of it too, and it's a long process. It does show the betrayal between friends, and I just really enjoy that. I don't know, even Trent is great in this. Almost the entire cast used here was fantastic. I even like Mac Daddy's role here, don't call him that, where he's running an ice cream truck, and then Kevin and Brittany working at the pool. That was always fun too. I think Kevin is my third favorite character. Don't judge me, I really like Kevin a lot. But yeah, I've just gotta say, this is just a well-rounded film, and it was just so well done with a lot of passion put in. A great select guest stars, and a fantastic story put in, decent animation. I've got to say that Is It Fall Yet alone gets a score of 10 out of 10. I know that's really surprising for me to say, even though I kind of considered season 3 the best of the seasons, but I'm going to say that this is the best Daria project ever. And I mean ever. It doesn't feel like the show's ending, but it does feel like it's opening a new chapter, and it's worthy of 10 out of 10. Let's go to season 5. Season 5 is just great. That's all I gotta say. It's great. Is it as good as Is It Fall Yet? No, but it's a good season altogether. There is one episode I dislike in here, and it's the Zoot Suit episode, which, yeah, but I do like parts out of that episode, so I'm not going to say it's a bad episode in general. I just skip portions. However, I do watch the scenes with Stacy and Upchuck because, I just find those two adorably funny. But this season was really strong, to me anyway. This is basically almost the end of the show. And there is a lot going on. Daria's trying to get into college at the point. She's trying to do things differently. And I really enjoy the character development. In fact, there is a lot going on here that I really like. There are some funny as hell episodes, like where Jake stays at a hotel to hide from Helen while her sister is in town and they're arguing and fighting. And then Daria ends up calling in the cavalry with bringing her Aunt Amy into the show, which Aunt Amy I didn't talk about earlier is basically Daria's older self. Pretty much. She's strange, she's cool, she's out of the loop, She's the odd girl out. I never did speak of Aunt Amy very often, but I will gladly speak of her now. Anyhow, yeah, there is just a lot of memorable episodes. There's also some fun episodes where Tom gets to bond with Jake and Quinn's boyfriend, whose name I cannot remember because whatever. Anyhow, yeah, this one is just a lot of fun. They're trying to catch a squirrel, and then they end up going go-karting and stuff. It's just a really fun episode. This one is so much more interesting than any of the other ones, and I really enjoy it. I mean, it's a fun season altogether, but I do get hit in the feels a little bit with this one. You see, this is not a definitive ending for the series, but you know it's coming closer to a close. Actually, the season 5 opener is a pretty good one, Phys Ed, where Daria is trying to fight up against the soda guys that are basically trying to get all their stuff, new uniforms, and etc. You know, product placement, use the school's product placement, and Daria actually is against this. You know, this is a long, big character development thing from Daria herself, because in season 1 she wouldn't give two shits about what the school's doing. Here she's protesting and fighting against it. I love this. This shows how far along Daria has come, and she has really developed well as a character, and you're gonna see what she's like when she's older. I love every little bit about her. This season is just a lot of fun. However, Tom is still here. There are some really uninteresting plot lines here, like Helen is scared Daria is trying to have sex with Tom, and Tom is wanting to, but yet he's cool with not. I don't get the deal with this plot line. I mean, it's a watchable episode. It's not a bad episode in the least. But yeah, it just felt a little forced to put this in here, but that's just a minor complaint. It's still, I guess my excuse for not caring about it is because I just don't care about Tom all that much. Like, when Tom is not even in an episode, you don't notice that he's not there. There are some interesting episode elements with him, like the Sappy Anniversary episode, where, well, Daria wants to actually do the anniversary thing, but then she acts like she doesn't, but then Tom ignores it, and then she gets pissed at him for no reason. Welcome to the whole deal of a relationship. And I think it's kind of funny. Daria is finally getting hit with her teen exploration and etc. Her hormones are going on, and it's just really well done here. I really enjoy most of the episodes in here. I don't really have any issues with these at all. Like, just the episode with Nathan, who I just can't stomach as a character, but thank God he's only in one episode. Then there's the final closing episode, Boxing Daria. This is where Daria is discovered that she hid in a box, and because her parents were having a giant argument about her. Basically, Jake thinking she's weird, and Helen and etc. sticking up for her. But you find out later on that, well, instead it wasn't exactly an argument. They were proud of her, and they were proud of how smart she was. And I really love that as an episode closing. My God, she finally got the bond with her parents that she deserved. In my opinion, Daria is definitely a dad's girl, but she really loves her mom, and I think Jake's opinion of her really kind of meshes. One of my favorite scenes in that episode, though, in general, is when Daria finds out the truth. She drives off-road, and the first person she calls isn't Tom, isn't her boyfriend, but Jane. And her response is to hug Jane. I don't know why, but I just find that so wholesome. It's very rare to find real, true friends in the world. I mean, it's really extremely rare. And Daria and Jane's friendship are so strong that, well, you can't help but love it every minute of it. This is just a solid episode in general. And, yeah. I love the entire season too. And do I think it's the best? Well, no. Season 4 is way, way better, way more advanced. But I will say, this season is a good, decent season, and it is fantastic. Like I said, at the beginning of the reviews, each season gets better. Is it a good closer? Well, no. But you guys know I talked about Is It Fall Yet? There is one more Is It thing I have to talk about. But as a whole, season 5, minus one bad episode, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It is that good of a season, and it is interesting to watch. Yeah, there's some really strange plot lines, but hell, this season just knocks it right out of the park. It's worth it, and you do see major character changes. There's some are subtle, but some are definitely major. You definitely get a really good vibe and a good grasp on how these characters have changed for the better, or in some cases for the worse. Well, there's only one more thing left to talk about, so let's scoot to it.
Not much for public speaking, or much for speaking, or, come to think of it, much for the public. And I'm not very good at lying. So let me just say that, in my experience, high school sucks.
Is it college yet? Well, this is the ending of Daria as a whole. Everyone seems to really have kind of a thing going. Everyone's going off to college, except for Kevin, who's being held back. Poor dolt. And etc. is going on here. Timothy O'Neill is going to be married, but yet Mr. DiMartino is trying to stop him. I love that plot line. I love almost every bit and piece of this movie, but then there's the Quinn plotline. Now, I actually just bragged Quinn up in the Is It Fall Yet? And I bragged her up in season 4 and 5, but I'm not gonna brag her up too much here. Now, I will say her character has developed quite a way from it. In season 5, I did forget to mention that she proudly claimed Daria as her sister in front of school when the classes were being taught by students, which I think is fantastic. I love that little moment. So Quinn came a long way, but this movie kind of felt like an after-school special for her part of the story. Until it was over. Quinn kind of gets befriended with a college girl, and the college girl does a lot of excessive drinking, and when she's working with her at the restaurant, you see that, well, it's just not that good, and she wants to report it to people, and it just feels like a really bad after-school special. To me, anyway, it does. And yeah, I get what they were trying to do to give Quinn an arc, but this portion could have been cut out of the movie, but they had to have a little bit of filler time. Personally, I didn't care for it. Also, Daria and Tom's arc finally ends here. They break up, and they split on good terms. In fact, all the characters, scratch Kevin and Mr. DiMartino, have a happy ending. And you've got to love it. That's all I'm going to say. It's all basically a happy ending. Daria gives one of the best speeches in speech history that I have heard, and I agree with to this day. As long as you have good friends in life and good parents and etc., yeah, and there's nothing in the world that can't be made better with pizza. I love that little quote because Daria and Jane always eating pizza is just their main niche, their main best friendacy, and I just love every bit of it. I do like that Tom is finally out of the picture and they break up, thank God. Daria and Jane are going to be closer together. They end up getting to spend a lot of their adult lives together. I like that. That leaves on a happy ending. Brittany, however, nope. She is not going to be waiting for Kevin to graduate high school. God bless him. Mr. DiMartino gets assaulted, and that is also a fun little wrap there. I enjoy that a lot. It's just a really good movie altogether, but it doesn't leave as strong as impression on me as Is It Fall Yet did. There really isn't a lot of risks in this film like I thought Is It Fall Yet would have. And, you know, I really kind of prefer Is It Fall Yet a lot more. Now, this does have a good ending, and it does leave a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal when it came out. I remember when it was airing all over MTV back in the day on how huge it was. Daria's finally ending, and I actually rented the VHS tape back when it came out. I really enjoyed this one, but on a rewatch, it's not as good as the others that came before it. That's all I'm going to say. It's a satisfying ending with a really good, decent run for the characters, but I'm just going to say that it's not as good as Is It Fall Yet. And as I rank it as a total, I would actually give it more of an 8 out of 10. A solid 8 out of 10. I mean, there are some really good, memorable portions in the movie, and really good, memorable moments. But the after-school special and stuff does kind of halt it. However, yeah, it's worth at least a couple of watches. Give it a watch if you haven't seen it, and if you're watching this retrospective without watching Daria at all, then what the hell's wrong with you? Don't watch my video. Watch the show before you watch this video. Anyhow, I think that about wraps it up for, well, the Daria retrospective. And I gotta say thank you all for listening. Well, that finally did it. I finally finished the retrospective that I said I would do, and it is done. I mean, I've got to say, looking back at Daria is just really great. I love the show, and it's amazing on how well it still holds up today. I got to say thank you all to the Daria page for tuning in and subscribing to my channel on Facebook. I really appreciate you guys. You guys were awesome, and I hope this video was as good as I hyped it up to be. I know it's not perfect, and I know I probably missed a few episodes when I talked about the entire show itself, but to me, the show is timeless. It definitely makes you feel for those younger days, and all I've got to say is I'm proud to have been one of those kids that did experience Daria when I was younger. It was definitely a game changer for adult animation. For me, anyway. Anyhow, what do you guys suggest I should do next? Should there be another series I should do? Should I get back into doing anime again? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching, and always remember, I'm listening.
Hello, this is Corey Feldman. Welcome to my studio here in Los Angeles, California, and I just wanted to pop in to say congratulations to Tim. Mr. Tim, I hope everybody's enjoying your videos. He's got some great content, and if you're enjoying his content, make sure you click on that little button right there that says subscribe. Why? Because everything on his channel is Bossa Nova. That's right. Congratulations on your channel, Mr. Tim. I'll be following you, and I know everybody else will too.